Welcome to the very first Easy English podcast.
Whoa, awesome.
If you're new to English, this is the place for you.
Definitely.
We're going to have lots of fun learning together. I'm Liam.
And I'm Zoe.
We're so happy you're here.
Yeah, we know starting a new language can be tough.
Yeah, it can be.
So we're going to make it easy and fun.
Exactly. We're going to share some tips and tricks that can really help you kickstart your English learning. And trust me, it's going to be much easier than you think.
Think of it like this. Every language has its own set of sounds.
Okay.
Like a toolbox with different tools.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
A toolbox full of sounds. So what happens when someone tries to speak English?
Yeah.
But the sounds in their native language toolbox are a bit different.
Well, imagine you need a hammer.
Okay.
But your toolbox only has a wrench. You might try to use the wrench as a hammer.
Right.
But it won't work quite right, will it?
That makes sense. So it's not that they can't physically make the English sounds.
Right.
It's just that they're used to using different tools, so to speak.
Right. And sometimes those tools are really similar, but not exactly the same. Take the L sound in English. It can sound a bit different depending on the word.
Really? I never noticed that.
Think about the word leaf. Hear that L sound. Now think about the word feel. That L sounds a bit different.
Oh, yeah.
Almost darker. Someone whose first language only has the leaf kind of L might say feel instead of feel.
Wow, that's so interesting. I'm already learning so much.
And here's another thing. English has some combinations of letters that might be forbidden in other languages.
Forbidden? Like secret code words?
Kind of. Like the word Spain starts with S, right?
Right.
But in Spanish, you can't start a word with those two letters together. So a Spanish speaker might add an extra sound and say Españ.
It's like their brain is saying, wait, that's not allowed. Let me fix it.
Exactly. We do the same thing in English sometimes. You might hear sports commentators pronounce Mbappé as Mbappé because starting a word with M isn't common in English.
It's like our brains are playing a game with sounds, trying to figure out the rules.
Yeah.
But that brings up another question. How do we know which sounds to emphasize in English?
That's where stress comes in. It's not about feeling stressed out,
Oh, okay.
but about which part of the word we emphasize.
So like if I say pronunciation instead of pronunciation, it sounds different.
Exactly. You're getting it. Stress can even change the meaning of a word. And different languages have different ways of stressing words.
So if someone stresses the wrong part of a word, it could sound strange to a native speaker.
Yes, it might sound like they have an accent. Think about the word Houston. A French speaker might say it differently because French usually stresses the last syllable of a word.
Wow, who knew there were so many things to think about when it comes to pronunciation?
It's like a puzzle, but a fun one. And there's one more piece to this puzzle we need to talk about. Rhythm. Some languages are like a steady drumbeat where every syllable has the same length.
Right.
But English is more like a dance with some syllables taking center stage and others fading into the background.
So it's not just about saying the right sounds. It's about how we put those sounds together, like a musical melody.
Exactly. And that's what can make English sound so unique and, let's be honest, sometimes a bit tricky to master.
It's like learning a new dance with all its steps and turns. But hey, everyone can learn to dance right.
Absolutely. It just takes practice and a willingness to have fun with it.
That's what we're all about here. Now, I know we've covered a lot about how sounds work in English, but is there anything else learners can do to improve their pronunciation right from the start? So we've been talking about all these sounds and rhythms and stresses. It's a lot to take in. Do you have any tips for how someone can actually start practicing all this, Zoe?
Of course. One of the best things you can do is to really listen to how English speakers talk. Think about it like learning a song. You listen to it over and over to get the melody right.
I can see that. So listening to music or podcasts would be helpful.
Absolutely. And movies, too. The more you hear real English being spoken, the better you'll get at understanding those sounds and rhythms we talked about.
That's a fun way to learn. So it's not just about studying grammar rules all the time.
Not at all. Of course, grammar is important, but don't be afraid to just jump in and start listening. You'll be surprised how much your brain picks up just by hearing the language.
I think that's really encouraging for new learners. Sometimes it feels like you need to know all the rules before you can even start speaking.
I hear you. But think about little kids learning to talk. They don't study grammar books, do they? They learn by listening and copying.
That's true. It's all about getting comfortable with the sounds and the flow of the language.
Exactly. And don't worry about making mistakes at first. Everyone makes mistakes when they're learning something new. The important thing is to keep practicing and have fun with it.
I love that advice. It makes learning a language so much less intimidating. So we've talked about sounds, stress rhythm. Is there anything else that affects how we sound when we speak English?
There's one more piece to this puzzle. Intonation. Think of it like the music of your voice. How your voice goes up and down as you speak.
Oh, I see. Like if I say, is that a cat? My voice goes up at the end because it's a question.
You got it. And just like with sounds and rhythms, different languages have different ways of using intonation.
So even if I'm pronouncing the words correctly, if my intonation is off, it might still sound strange to a native speaker.
Right. It might sound like you're not sure about what you're saying or like you're not really interested.
Wow, it's amazing how much goes into speaking a language naturally.
It is, but don't let that overwhelm you. Just remember, the more you listen to and practice English, the better you'll get at using intonation correctly.
It's all about immersing yourself in the language, right? Surrounding yourself with English as much as possible.
Exactly. And luckily, there are so many fun ways to do that. Listening to music, watching movies, following English-speaking people on social media, even playing video games.
Those are all great ideas. It doesn't have to feel like work. Learning English can be enjoyable.
Absolutely. And the more you enjoy it, the more you'll want to practice and the faster you'll learn.
So to recap what we've learned so far, we need to pay attention to individual sounds, how those sounds are combined, which syllables we emphasize the overall rhythm of our speech, and even how our voice goes up and down.
You got it. It's like putting together a beautiful puzzle piece by piece.
And remember, the goal isn't to sound exactly like a native speaker overnight. It's about making progress, feeling more confident, and enjoying the journey.
That's what's most important. Now, before we finish up today's deep dive, I have a little challenge for our listener.
Ooh, I love a good challenge. What is it?
Think about everything we've talked about today. What's one small step you can take right now to start improving your pronunciation? It could be anything. Listening to a song, practicing a word, even just paying more attention to how English speakers talk on TV.
That's a great challenge. Take a moment to think about it. And in our final part, we'll share some more tips and tricks for making learning English easy and fun. Welcome back to the Easy English Podcast. We're almost at the end of our deep dive into Quick Start English learning.
It's been so fun, yeah, exploring the world of sounds and rhythms with you.
I know. And before we went away, you challenged our listeners to think of one small step they can take to improve their pronunciation.
Yes. Did you have a chance to think about it? There are so many simple things you can do right now to boost your confidence and get those sounds flowing.
Absolutely. What are some of your favorite quick tips for our listeners?
Well, how about picking a favorite English word or phrase and saying it out loud a few times? Focus on the sounds, the stress, and even try playing with the intonation a bit.
I love that idea. It's something you can do anywhere, anytime, like while you're waiting for the bus or brushing your teeth.
Exactly. It's about making English a part of your daily routine, even in small ways. Another fun tip is to find a short video clip in English, maybe something about a topic you enjoy, and try to shadow the speaker.
Shadowing, what does that mean?
It means listening to the speaker and trying to repeat what they're saying at the same time, copying their pronunciation and intonation. It's like a game of copycat.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. It's
Yeah.
almost like acting, pretending to be the speaker.
Exactly. It's a great way to train your ears and your mouth to work together. And the more you do it, the more natural it will feel.
I can see how that would be really helpful for picking up the nuances of pronunciation and intonation.
It is. And another thing you can do is make a conscious effort to listen to a little bit of English every day, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a big commitment.
Right. Put on some music while you're cooking dinner, listen to a podcast on your commute, or watch a funny video online. The key is to just keep those ears tuned into the sounds of English.
So it's all about finding ways to make English a part of your life naturally and enjoyably.
Exactly. It shouldn't feel like a chore. And remember, the goal is not to sound exactly like a native speaker overnight. It's about progress, not perfection.
That's such an important reminder. We all learn at our own pace.
Absolutely. And the most important thing is to celebrate your successes along the way. Even the smallest improvements are worth acknowledging.
Well said. Now, as we wrap up this first episode of the Easy English Podcast, what final words of wisdom do you have for our listeners who are just starting their English learning journey?
I would say be patient with yourself. Embrace the challenges and, most importantly, have fun. Learning a new language is an incredible adventure, full of surprises and discoveries.
I couldn't agree more. It's like opening a door to a whole new world of possibilities.
Exactly. So keep exploring, keep practicing, and never be afraid to make mistakes. Remember, every mistake is an opportunity to learn and grow.
And we'll be here to guide you every step of the way with more tips, tricks, and fun challenges on the Easy English Podcast.
Until next time, happy learning, everyone.
Bye for now.